Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to look at how to create this really cool and unique glitch effect inside of Premiere with no extra plugins or downloads at all. It's a pretty easy effect to pull off, and once you know how to do it, you'll be able to throw it onto your footage pretty quickly and pretty easily. So let's jump into Premiere and I'll show you how to do it. So inside of Premiere, we have the clip we want to glitch out on our timeline, and the first thing we want to do to start this effect is come over into our effects panel, and if you can't find it, come up into window and come down to effects, and it'll bring this up. And we just want to come up into the search bar and type in arithmetic, find that effect and drag it onto our clip. And what this will do is it'll allow us to separate the red, green and blue channels. So to do that, we want to duplicate this clip 2 more times. So we can either hit Control C to copy it and then Control V, or the quicker way to do it is hit Alt or Option on your keyboard and then just grab the clip and drag up twice, and that'll give you 2 more duplicates of that original clip. So on the top clip, what we want to do is come up into our effects control, and first, before we touch the arithmetic effect, we want to come to our opacity and just change it to linear dodge add. Then we can come down to our arithmetic and change the operator to max. And then we just want to increase the red value all the way to the top, which is 255. And we just want to do the same thing for the next clip down. So our middle clip, come back up into our effects controls, come to our opacity, change it to linear dodge add again. Then come down to our arithmetic, change the operator to max. And this time we're going to increase our green value right to the top to 255. And then finally, we'll come and click on our very last clip. Now for this one, we don't need to change, because it's on the very bottom, we don't need to change the blend mode. We can leave it on normal, but we will again change our operator to max under our arithmetic effect. And this time our blue effect will go right to the top. And as you can see, it takes it back to how it was just originally with each layer being a red, green and blue channel. It looks normal. However, if we turn off our top layer and our second top, we've got our blue channel. Then if we turn off, if we just select the middle clip, we've got our green. And if we just select the top, we've got our red. So if we turn everything on, it brings in the full RGB, which is our full colored clip. So this is the point we want to get to where we can start animating our glitch effect. So what arithmetic has done is if we come up and click our top clip and come up into our position, and we just offset our position just slightly, you can start to see it brings in the RGB split, which is what we want. So now we need to animate that. So we bring it back. So if we come down to our timeline and just find the point where we want to start glitching out the effect. So let's say we wanted to start glitching it at this point. We can create a keyframe under our effects control again. Next to our position, we'll just hit this little stopwatch and that'll create a keyframe, and we'll just zoom in. So we've got our keyframe here. Now we want to just bring it back slightly. So our effect is still going to start from this point. So now we can just offset slightly to start the keyframe. Now what we want to do is, because we have at the moment, our keyframes are linear. So we come down to this, it's under linear. And what that does is from this, between this keyframe and this keyframe, it'll slightly move till it hits that point. But because with the glitch, we want to make it jumpy, we want to highlight both keyframes, right mouse click it, and then change it to hold. So what hold does is we're telling Premiere to not change these parameters until it hits this point. Whereas if it was on linear, it would move in between these 2 keyframes. But because we change it to hold, as you can see, it doesn't actually move until it hits that keyframe. So now what we want to do is we want to jump it around a bit more. So we want to go a couple of keyframes forward, and we just want to do this a few times, just offsetting these parameters, just so when it plays through, it'll jump all over the place and just create that sort of glitch effect. So do it one more time. And now to finish the effect, we can come forward a bit more and we can just take it back to the original setting. So we can either type in 960 by 540, or we can grab this very first keyframe, hold Options or Alt on your keyboard and just drag it like we did with the layers on our timeline. Just drag it to the end and that'll copy the first clip with the original parameters. So now if we play it through, you can see it's got that sort of jumping RGB effect, which is what we want to start with our glitch. Now at the moment, we've just got the red and blue channels, but if we want to add a few more colors in, we can come down onto our timeline again, select our middle clip, and then if you see, just offset those clips, it brings in sort of this purple and green. So if you want to introduce those extra colors, you can just keyframe like we did with the red and blue channels, and it'll introduce those other colors. But for the sake of time, for the tutorial, we'll just leave it on the red and blue for now. So now we have the start of our glitch. What we can do now is create some artifacts in the image to really help sell the effect. And to do that, we're going to use an effect called the magnify effect. So if we come back into our project window, right mouse click, and we want to create a new adjustment layer, hit OK, and we'll just drag that to the very top above our layers, and we'll just make it the same size. And then come over into our effects again and find the magnify effect and drag that onto our adjustment layer. And as you'll see, what that does is it creates a circle right in the middle of our clip. And basically what that means is in that circle, that portion here is magnified, and we come down to the magnifier effect. The magnification is 150. So it's just magnified 150 in that circle. And we can use this to create those artifacts. So the first thing we want to do is we don't want a circle, we want to change it, the shape, to a square. And then we want to come down to our size, and we just want to increase that quite significantly till it takes up the whole screen. Like so. Then we can come back up to the top of our magnifier effect and just hit this 4-point polygon mask. So this just creates a mask here, and we're going to use this to create the shapes we want. So it gives you a lot more flexibility. So what we can do is we just drag and select the bottom two corners and just pull upwards. And if you hit Shift on your keyboard, it'll keep the two lines parallel. Then once we have that, we'll grab the two right and do the same thing, start dragging out, hit Shift just to hold that position till we have a shape roughly about that. Now at the moment, you'll see around the sides it's quite soft, so we just want to take our mask feather right down to 0, just so it makes it a bit sharper. So now we want to come down to our timeline, hit our top clip, and just come to where our effect starts. So it won't be this first keyframe, it'll be the second keyframe, and that's where our effect starts. So that's where we want these artifacts to start coming in. So we click our adjustment layer again, come back down to our magnify effect. We just want to come down to our opacity and just hit the stopwatch and create a keyframe. We'll zoom in a bit. So we're going to take the keyframe and we'll bring it right down to 0, and that'll get rid of the effect. And we'll just move this keyframe backwards a bit and then increase to 100 again. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. Right mouse click both the keyframes and hit hold. And that's going to do the same thing as we did with the RGB effect. And we're going to say don't appear until this second keyframe is hit. Then we want to come forward another couple of frames, and then we want to take it down to 0 again. And as you can see, because these two we selected as hold, it automatically, the next time we move this parameter, the opacity percentage, it'll create a hold. So if we have a look now, if we play it through, you can see that when it hits that point, it glitches on, and then when it hits this third keyframe, it comes off again. So now we just want to repeat that quite a few times throughout the RGB effect. So we want to hit this, hit Control C on our keyboard, and then Control V a few times, just to make a few duplicates of that effect. And we just want to come through into each one of these and just offset the position and the opacity keyframes just to create a few different variations of the magnify effect. So we'll grab it and we'll just drag down to another point on our image. We'll zoom into our keyframes and we'll just slightly offset the keyframes a bit, and we can adjust the timing so we can make it a bit shorter. So now we play it through again. Our effect starts, this one comes on, and we'll pull this off slightly. So we play it through again. You can see it pops up twice, and we're just going to repeat that over and over again until we have quite a few things going on. So we'll highlight the mask, hover over it till it changes to the little hand, and just move it to a different point in the image. Adjust the keyframes so they're a bit different, and then come down to the next effect, and just do the same thing over and over again. All right, so I'll just fast forward at this point because I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, and ain't nobody got time for that. So basically, all I'm doing is just taking the copies that we made of that magnify effect, changing the position of the mask and the keyframes of the opacity, just to give it that varied effect. And I'm just going to keep doing that between the start and end keyframes we set when we created the keyframes in the RGB split. All right, so now I've got quite a few varies of the magnify effect, and I've changed the keyframes, and it starts from where we started the RGB split right through to our last keyframe of the RGB split. So now we play it through. You can see, as you can see, it creates the really cool glitch effect. And the last thing we want to do to really sell the effect is chuck on a sound effect and line it up, and we have our glitch effect. Alright, so that about do it for today's tutorial. If you did get something out of it, please hit that subscribe button. Check out my channel for other tutorials. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.